Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Traptrix deck profile. So this is going to be a really awesome deck profile because we just got Traptrix, Alamiras, and Gravedigger Traphole, which is two amazing cards for this deck. It's really amazing, even with Gravedigger Traphole being able to negate basically hand traps, Nibiru, all sorts of stuff. That card is going to be an insane card. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below because we have some awesome rewards for you guys, like getting your name in the description of every single video, getting to request a deck profile just like this one every single month, or even getting a signed card sent to you in the mail. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So this deck is getting support left and right in the form of Link monsters, XYZ monsters, new Traphole cards. This deck is just insanely good, and it's just getting better and better. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Traptrix Marmelio. So Traptrix Marmelio, when she is normal summon, all your Traptrix share the ability that they are unaffected by the effect of whole trap cards, which is something to keep in mind. But when she's normal summoned, you get to add a whole trap hole or a whole normal spell card from your graveyard, or from your deck to your hand, excuse me. And if this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you get to target a spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy that target, which is really helpful for the deck to be able to just pop those spells and traps on your opponent's side of the field. She's like walking MST. Then we play 3 copies of Traptrix Mantis. Mantis is really good too because when she's normal summoned, you get to add a Traptrix monster from your deck to your hand, and she is unaffected by the effect of whole trap cards. And then once return quick effect, you can target a set spell or trap card, return it to the hand, and then you can set another spell or trap from your hand. This card's really good because if your opponent like blind MSTs you or hits you with like a copy of Galaxy Cyclone or something like that and targets one of your cards, you can just instantly bounce it back to your hand and then basically reset it, and they don't have a legal target anymore because you just bounce the target to the hand. So you basically just negate the spell, or you basically negate the MST or the Twin Twister because they have to designate the target at time of activation. So you use this after they activated the card and chain the Mantis to it, and then basically they don't get their effect off. Then we play 3 copies of Traptrix Diana. This card's a really good card because what she does is when she's normal summoned, you target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard, and special summon the target in defense position. And when this card is special summoned, you can target a whole trap card in your graveyard and set that target to banish it when it leaves the field. Banish it during your end phase of your next turn if it's still there on the field, which is not that big of a deal to be able to just set something because you're usually going to activate it right off the bat. We played 2 copies of Jalicia. Jalicia is really good too as a 2-of in my opinion, because what you do with her is you normal summon her and then tribute her to set 2 whole traps directly from your deck with different names. I play her as a 2-of because she's really good to be able to search stuff like Gravedigger Traphole, your copies of Floodgate, and your bottomlesses and stuff like that. I think she's a good 2-of. I would consider maybe dropping her down to 1 in future profiles, but at the moment I'm really liking her as a 2-of, so I'm currently leaving her at 2. 1 copy of Aatrox. Aatrox is really good because basically what she does is she lets you activate the effect of whole trap cards from your hand, and you can activate the effect of normal trap cards activate on your side of the field cannot be negated. So she makes them all speed spell 4, which is really good. Now the new really cool tech card that's in this deck is Parallel XZs. Parallel XZs is really good because this card is insanely good because when you link into Sarah, which is just a link 1 monster, when you link into that card, you can just special summon this card to a zone that link monster points to, and if it's special summoned, you can special summon another Parallel XZs from your deck, which basically makes a free XYZ, rank 4 XYZ monster, which can help you go into your Traptrix XYZs, like your Rafflesia and your new Alamiras. Alamiras is really easy to go into this card because it just is basically, it's free real estate. You just special summon a Syrah. You normal summon like Marmelio or your copy of Mantis, link them away to the graveyard, special summon Syrah. Syrah is going to trigger, and then you're going to be able to special summon Parallel XZs right behind it. And then you immediately special summon another Parallel XZs from your extra deck, or from your deck, and then you can link, or you XYZ summon under the Syrah, which is going to be really beneficial because you're just going to summon Alamiras or something else. Then we play the Artifact Engine as well, which is 1 Moral Attack and 2 copies of Scythe, because basically with the Moral Attack, you're able to pop something on the field, and the Scythe shuts your opponent down from the extra deck, so that's really pivotal. Especially if they normal summon and waste their normal summon and you hit them with a bottomless trap hole or something like that. It's kind of like old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Where they didn't have an extra deck, but they just shuts the entire extra deck down for the entire turn, which is really good. I really like that. And then the Artifact Moral Attack is never really dead because we play cards in the deck to pop it ourselves, to be able to pop cards on our opponent's side of the field, which is really, really nice. It's just an extra 2100 beat stick, and it's nice to be able to just special summon it to your side of the field. So that's it for the monsters. Let's get into the spell of the deck. I usually don't say that, but we only play, I believe, one spell in the entire deck. Yeah, we play one spell. Double or Nothing. That's the only spell we play in the entire deck. Everything else is traps. You don't need spells in this deck that much. The only reason I play Double or Nothing is because Utopia Double is dumb in this deck. Because if you make Utopia Double in this deck, you have a 10,000 beat stick where everything else is basically stopping your opponent from doing stuff. And you need kind of a sword of the deck, and Utopia Double helps out with that, especially with Double or Nothing. So that's it for the spells. Let's get into the traps. The traps is where this deck really gets insane. So, for the traps, we're playing a single copy of Imperial Order. Basically, it just negates spells. We don't play spells in the deck besides Double or Nothing, so you can just play around it, essentially. So, this card's really, 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 really good. We play 2 copies of Gravedigger Trap Hole. Gravedigger's Trap Hole is really cool, because basically it's like Call by the Grave, but better because it's a trap. Well, not because it's a trap, because it deals 2,000 damage to your opponent. But when your opponent activates a monster effect in their hand or graveyard, or when your opponent banishes monsters, monster effect is activated, you can negate the activation, and if you do, you inflict 2,000 points of damage to your opponent. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of damage to punish your opponent for, which is insanely good to just be able to hit him with the 2k damage. 2 copies of Floodgate Trap Hole. We're out of link format, so this card's good again because you can just flip monsters into face down defense position, and they can't be flipped back up, which is really nice. And it's searchable with your copy of Rafflesia, which is just able to activate it and put them face down, which is nice. 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole. Bottomless Trap Hole is really good if they normal summon or special summon, because when a monster is summoned with 1,500 or more attack, if they summon multiple monsters too, then you destroy and then banish them, all the monsters that have 1,500 or more attack, which is really good. I bumped this card from 3 to 2 because I feel like at 3, you draw it too much in this deck, and so it's searchable anyways, so I just play it at 2 now. 2 copies of Heavy Storm Duster. Heavy Storm Duster is how I pop my artifacts on my side of the field, just to be able to stop, just to be able to, make them still live. You can pop them with this card as well, which is super nice. And hitting back row against your opponent is never bad. So this card's really good to me as a 2 of in the deck. Then we play 3 copies of Lost Wind. Lost Wind is super helpful in this deck because what Lost Wind does is it lets you target a face-up special summon a monster on the field, negate its effects, and also its original attack is halved. It also has the ability that if a monster is special summoned from your opponent's extra deck while this card's in your graveyard, you get to reset it, which is really cool. I love that effect. This card is a really unsung hero kind of card. I really feel like this card is a sleeper card that people don't realize that this card is that good. But being able to half an opponent's attack points, especially in a deck like Traptrix where the monsters don't get super huge, it's really good. Then we play 3 copies of Traptrix. Traptrix basically lets us set any of our Traptrix or any of our trap cards by banishing one of them from the deck. And then you get to set one from your deck with a different name, or from the same name, but you can only activate 1 trap card for the rest of the turn. That's not that big of a deal. 3 copies of the Phantom Knights of Shade. This card is really good because it gives you a free level 4, which can help you go into basically into XYZ plays. I really like this card because it lets you go into those XYZ plays and special summons itself as a level 4 monster. If you have no trap cards in your graveyard, then you can instantly activate this card, so you want to see this card first turn. And then we play 3 copies of Artifact Sanctum. Artifact Sanctum is really pivotal to the deck because Artifact Sanctum basically special summons your Artifact Scythe to be able to lock your opponent out of the extra deck. So that's really, really pivotal to the deck to be able to do that. And if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can target a card on the field and destroy that target. So if your opponent does happen to try and pop it, then you can just basically stop them with it by just activating it, or pop something on the field, which is super nice. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're playing 2 copies of Traptrix Alamiras. Alamiras is really good. What she does is insanely good for what the deck needs. But basically with this deck, what she does is she's unaffected by the effect of trap cards while she has an XYZ material, and you can only use the effect of her once per turn. You can detach 2 materials from her to special summon a level 4 insect or plant monster from your graveyard. Or if an opponent's monster leaves the field because of your card effect, and is now in the graveyard or banished, except during the damage step, you can detach material from this card and then target one of those monsters and special summon it to your side of the field. That's really good to be able to take your opponent's monsters, because you can use them as link materials. If you hit like a high level link monster or high link rating link monster, you can use as link materials for like Boral Sword or something like that, or Nightmare Unicorn if you hit a link 2 or something like that. 2 copies of Rafflesia. Traptrix Rafflesia is really good to me as a 2 of, because she's unaffected by the effect of trap cards while she has XYZ materials, and Traptrix monsters you control except Rafflesia cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. And your opponent cannot target your Traptrix monsters except for Traptrix Rafflesia with card effects, and then once per turn during your opponent's turn, or during either player's turn, you can detach material from her and then send a normal trap hole or normal hole card to the graveyard. And its effect, basically this card's effect becomes that card's effect as long as the conditions are met. So like if you make her on your side of the field and your opponent tries to Ash Blossom you, you can detach material from her and basically send Gravedigger to the graveyard and then negate the hand trap and inflict 2 decay damage to your opponent, which is super cool. 3 copies of Sarah. Sarah is really, really good in here because what she does is you just have to use any Traptrix monster to link into her. And what she does is, if a normal trap card is activated, you can special summon a Traptrix monster from your deck with a different name from the name of the card you control. And if your other Traptrix monster effect is activated, you can set a trap hole directly from your deck. And she also has the effect of you can only use each effect of her once per turn, which is really cool. I really like that effect. 1 copy of Utopia Double and Utopia, just to be able to hit your opponent for that 10k damage. 1 copy of our Baguska, just to be able to stall our opponent out. It doesn't really matter if our stuff goes to defense position, because you're basically playing all the trap hole stuff, so it's not that big of a deal. So Baguska is pretty good in the deck. Abyss Dweller, just to be able to shut down graveyards. You already have Gravedigger Trap Hole for that, but this card comes in pretty clutch sometimes. Boral Sword, because you can go into it for OTKs along with the Utopia Double. Nightmare Unicorn to bounce stuff, Phoenix to pop spells and traps, and then Dagda, Artifact Dagda is really good in here because this card helps out with your artifact engine a lot, and that's the reason I played this card at 1, is because it's kind of mandatory at this point with artifacts in the deck that you play Dagda, because when another effect on the field is activated, you can set an artifact monster from your hand or deck to your spell and trap card zone, but destroyed during your opponent's next end phase, and then during your opponent's turn, if this card is link summon, it's destroyed, you can special summon an artifact monster from your graveyard in defense position. Really good effects to be able to get your artifacts out on the field, and I love playing that card. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a really fun deck to play around with. It basically just says nope to your opponent for everything that they try and do, which is really, really, really funny, especially because they keep getting support for this deck, and the deck is actually becoming, like, I think 2 or 3 more support cards for this deck, and this deck could be really insane. I mean, you already have basically stuff that just hits monsters, hits hand traps, hits searches from deck the monsters, searches from deck the traps. I mean, it's really good. I think the only thing that's holding this deck back is the fact that it plays traps. I mean, I think that's why people are not playing it as much. But this deck is really, really good. So, anyways, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad. Definitely check out the Patreon down in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See you around, guys.